2 years ago, I made a bold claim right here on this channel about sexism against men in the United States of America and how it manifests on both sides of the political spectrum. But it is most prevalent in the idea of male reproductive rights. Years later, I expanded on that when I announced my New Year's resolution. It's no secret to my family and friends or to my Facebook and Twitter followers that I want kids of my own. It's something I've discussed openly for years now, and that's exactly what I've resolved to do this year. Begin my journey to fatherhood to make that dream a reality. Much has happened in the country since I made that New Year's resolution 2 years ago. Not the least of which is we have a new sheriff in town that has a plan to stop population decline, that has men in this country excited about their role in the family again.
You know what? Yes, it's actually really enjoyable to be a father. It gives you a good purpose. It locks you in and gives you something to live for and work for and fight for, and that's something you certainly need in these times.
As the saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Sexism against men in America is still rampant on both sides of the political aisle, and there's no better way to bring the receipts than to show you a video with all of those views in one place. So today, we're going to be reacting to Greg Foreman over at Black Conservative Perspective, reacting to The View, reacting to the Trump administration's plan to fight population decline in America. But before we get into that, let me just make a quick announcement. This channel has finally reached 100 subscribers. Yay! So, to celebrate, pretty soon I'm going to be doing a live stream, and I will let you guys know when, because I have something really exciting planned for it that I think you will enjoy. I should mention, by the way, that since Greg's original video is 25 minutes long, you're going to want to hop over to his channel if you want to see the whole thing, because I'm going to have to cut some things out. For example, we won't be paying too much attention to Whoopi Goldberg, since that woman couldn't hold a relevant conversation with herself in the bathroom mirror, much less anybody else. So, link to the original video will be in the description. Please check it out, because after all, reaction videos would have nothing to react to if it wasn't for original content creators. Alright, let's go.
So we got to talk about the Trump administration floating new ideas about how to improve our birth rate. And the reason why this is a very, very, very important topic is because our replacement rate isn't where it needs to be, in the sense that our population is declining without mass immigration, because native-born Americans just aren't having kids and starting families like we used to. Okay, and this is part of the reason why Democrats want illegal immigrants to just come into the country, right? Just to let all these illegals into the country, is because, one, it artificially boosts our population, and they're going to have a whole bunch of kids and live off the system, right? And Democrats, they want those people in the country so that in the future, we have slaves to support our welfare system, okay? The programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you need a young population of working people in order to support that, right? And if our population continues to get older, we're not going to have enough people to support our welfare and entitlement programs, okay? That's just kind of the situation that we're facing, okay? And it's really about, okay, well, what should we do about it, okay? I think everybody agrees it's a problem. The question is, what should we do? And that's where a lot of the disagreements come in. President Trump and his team have proposed essentially having a baby bonus, right? In the sense that new mothers would get paid, and allegedly you have to be married, which is a good thing about this program. I think that's like the one thing that I kind of like about it, but overall, I really don't like it, and I'll tell you guys exactly why. One thing I can tell you is that it has nothing to do with racism, which is what we're going to talk about here today, because the media basically is boohoo, whining, and crying racism over this proposal from the Trump administration. Take a look.
We will support baby bonuses for a new baby boom. How does that sound? That sounds pretty. I want a baby boom.
One quick thing. The baby boom wasn't about getting paid to have babies. It was about the optimism of opportunity in a country. That's what's missing. Now, Trump thinks he's going to pay it back with a check and get it back. He wants people to get married and have more babies. So there are rules. You got to be married. I'm assuming they're going to want you to be a citizen. And then they'll have a baby if you reach full term and have it. The White House is assessing ways to persuade women to have more children. Some of the ideas suggested: $5,000 baby bonus, funding programs to teach women about their menstrual cycles to help them conceive, for all you women who don't know how to get pregnant. Giving a national medal of motherhood to moms with 6 or more kids, and reserving 30% of Fulbright scholarships to applicants who are married or have kids. Now, the plan has critics. Of course it does. This is Trump's way to make more white Christian families.
President Trump endorsing the idea of giving up to $5,000 to mothers to help increase birth rates.
Mr. President, there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some type of bonus so that they have child. Were you considering that? Or?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Maggie Anders is the host of Undoctrination and a content creator for the Foundation for Economic Education. She joins me now. Maggie, what do you think? Is a $5,000 incentive a good idea for people to have kids?
Well, Todd, thank you so much for having me this morning. While I wholeheartedly agree with the Trump administration that America is facing a fertility epidemic, I don't think a $5,000 baby bonus is really going to cut it. Some estimates put the average cost of raising a child in America at $23,000. By the time that child is 18, that's $414,000, not accounting for inflation or the cost of college tuition. Americans are facing a cost of living crisis. We're tired of being taxed to death, and we're tired of our dollar being devalued through wasteful government spending programs and Federal Reserve money printing. And I think this is going to make that problem worse.
Yeah, Maggie, I agree with your top line on this. Kudos to the president for tackling this issue because it is a big deal. Look at these stats. The 2024 fertility rate, that's just last year, remains well behind the rate required to replace the current population.
Yeah, so you say that, you heard that. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you guys about what I think will be a better idea. Okay, I like the fact that the Trump administration is thinking about this problem, how to solve it in ways that don't include, again, mass illegal immigration into the country. Like, that's the only solution that Democrats have. But I also want to note that if Democrats propose an idea like this, the cackling hands on the View would love it, right? They would absolutely love it. But when Trump proposes the idea, it's racist, okay? Just like when Kamala Harris proposed the $25,000 payment to buy a house, these same people thought, this is amazing, right? But $5,000 to have a baby? This is terrible. I'm being consistent. I don't like both ideas. But again, I want to tell you guys what I think will be a better idea. But again, this is not about racism. This is about the fact that, again, as a country, we have a problem with birth rates. And, I think that it is a good thing that the administration is looking into this, even if, again, this idea in and of itself might not be the best idea in the world. At the same time, they care about the problem, right? And they want to solve the problem without mass illegal immigration, which I think is definitely something worthwhile. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
So as birth rates continue to decline in America, the White House is looking into offering $5,000 cash bonuses, expanded access to IVF, along with other incentives for women to have more babies.
Okay, so right away we know the direction Greg is going in this video. He's going to be reacting to this troop of howler monkeys discussing the Trump administration's proposal to fight population decline in the United States of America. Now, they're mostly going to be discussing it from an economic standpoint, all except for Sonny Hostin, who is going to be calling it racism, which is the focus of Greg's video. And Greg will be responding to all of them. However, for the purposes of my video, we are going to be skipping over most of Whoopi, all of Sarah, and all of Joy, because they are completely irrelevant to the conversation. Whoopi just goes on about how it's not enough money Sarah has some kind of weird, irrelevant discussion about AI, and Joy just talks about taxing the rich. So those are all worthy and relevant discussions for another time, but not for the purposes of this video. So we are going to be focusing exclusively on Sonny Hostin, on Alyssa Farah Griffin, and on Greg Foreman's reactions to the both of them. And before we continue, I want you also to notice right away that the Trump administration's plans, as well as all of this discussion done in Greg's video and by The View, leave men completely out of the conversation, except to bring them up as marriage partners for the women that are receiving these benefits. And that will become important later. So let's continue.
Generally support this policy, and that may surprise you guys. The number one concern I hear from young people is that they want to have kids, but they don't think they can afford it. And we could argue over whether it's enough money or not, the $5,000. But both Italy and France do this. You get a one-time payment when you have a child, and what it could go toward.
$5,000.
Well, it could go toward the out-of-pocket costs for delivering a child, which ranges between about $1,500 and $3,000. If you put it in a 529 savings account when that child is born, by the time they're 18, you'll have twice that. You'll have about $10,000 based on current market conditions. We also have policies like this in place. We have the child tax credit, which gives you a tax credit back for the number of children you have, and the earned income tax credit. Because of this idea that our social safety net, so Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, rely on the younger population keeping up with the older population so they can pay into it. But here's my caveat. This would need to apply to gay couples, not just to women who have children, and to adoptive parents, not just people who have children naturally. And finally, they said that they're going to look into ways to lower the cost of IVF. I'm going to need to see it to believe it, but it is too expensive. So many women deal with infertility, and they do need to find a way to lower the cost.
Yeah, so part of the reason why I don't think this is a good idea is partly because of what Alyssa Farah Griffin brought up here. She likes the idea. Is the fact that most people, especially if there's not a requirement to be married, you're going to be incentivizing the wrong people to have kids, right? You talk about giving Shaniqua $5,000 to have a baby, right, out of wedlock. Yeah, that's not a good idea, right? That's not a good idea at all, okay? Also, on top of that, if Democrats take back power and this type of proposal is in place, trust and believe, Democrats going to find a way to extend this to illegals, right? They're going to try to allow illegals also to take advantage of it, just like they allow illegals to take advantage of all of our other social safety net and welfare programs. So because of some of those reasons, right, I'm just not for it, right? I don't think that this is a great idea, okay? But what I think would be a better idea is rolling back some of those things, like, for example, federal grants for school, rolling back the student loan program and stuff like that, and just having baby bonds, right? In the sense that you can have $5,000, for example, for a child that's born, that's an American citizen, born in wedlock, right? Actually married with a man in the house, okay? And this has to be something where it's not something they can easily take advantage of, right? It has to be something where we verify, we know, okay, you're married, a man is in the house, and maybe you get like $5,000 in an investment account that cannot be touched, until the child is 18 years old, and you have options for how you want to invest the money, whether it's aggressively, conservatively, and parents can contribute to it, okay? Maybe make the contributions tax deductible, whatever, right? And then at the age of 18, the money can be used for qualified expenses, like, for example, school or starting a business. Basically, it's like a 529 that's already pre-funded. And essentially, again, it can be used for qualified things at a certain age. I like that idea a lot better, right? And the reason why is because I think that actual responsible parents would take advantage of this, and it would be good for responsible parents. Those are the people that we need to be having more children, responsible, stable families who may, be financially struggling a little bit, on the fence about having a kid because of the financials, because of how they're going to pay for school and stuff like that. But again, something like this may push them over the edge and say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and have a kid. the last thing we need is more Shaniquas, right? More ghetto baby mamas having kids and stuff like that, because that's not a positive return on investment for society, right? That's not good for society to have more babies out of wedlock. We need to be incentivizing couples to get married and to have children, right? And I get it. Everybody has their own timeline in regards to when they want to do that. I have my own timeline in regards to when I want to do it. So, I understand that. But I think personally that I would much rather have, again, some type of baby bond program where the money's locked up. And then that can be used for school and stuff like that. And then we cut a lot of these other federal grants, money that we already are giving away for people to go to school. We cut a lot of that stuff, right? Let's get out of the student loan business, right? Defund these big college institutions that are living half the hog. Make them scale back on the cost. And then, again, help fund kids' education, again, at birth, okay, pre-funded. And I think that's a much better system than what we have right now, in my opinion, okay, if they want to go this direction. Now, I'm not sure if that will help solve the problem in regards to birth rates. I'm just saying, if you're giving money to people to have kids, let's do it responsibly, right? Let's not, just give people money to have kids and you incentivize the wrong people to have kids. That's not what we want. We want responsible two-parent households to be having more children. That's what we really want.
I actually agree and disagree with both Greg and Alyssa Farah Griffin here. I agree with Alyssa Farah Griffin that there are people outside of married couples in this country who need financial assistance in having and raising children. However, I also agree with Greg that they don't need to be incentivized. But it's not because they are the, as Greg put it, wrong kind of people. It's because many of these people, don't have any other options. Not all of them are Shaniquas living in the projects with 6 different kids by 6 different fathers so she can get that big welfare check and pay her for her new iPhone. A lot of these people are gay couples, infertile couples, and even single men who have no other options if they want to have children. And so they are already highly incentivized. And in addition to that, many of them are either already financially stable and secure to even be able to consider this, or else they've got a support system to help them pay to get things started. They have to. They are taking on a financial burden comparable to the student loan debt people have been taking to TikTok all over the place to complain about. What they need is assistance in paying for what comes next, which was also covered by the beginning of Greg's video. So, let's continue.
I want to reframe the issue a little bit, because when I look at something like this, these proposals, I want to know why, and I want to know who's making them. And so when I looked into that, they're saying that the U.S. birth rate is declining. However, in 2024, there was a 1% increase in U.S. births, but that increase was with Hispanic mothers and Asian mothers. So they don't seem to be concerned about that increase. They seem to be more concerned about a decrease in other populations.
Say it.
No, I think I've said enough.
It's not based on that.
And so, well, it's just based on a study. And so the other thing
But have
I will
they said that anywhere? I mean, I feel like you have to be fair.
It's just
fair to who?
It's just a.
Have they said that this is to target only white families?
Oh, I didn't say that.
You
I
have to
just
read
gave the
between the
stats.
lines.
I just gave the
They're not
stats.
gonna say it.
About economics. They're wanting people to pay in.
I'm just giving facts. And so also when I think about who's advocating, Project 2025, remember that? Which was tied to the Heritage Foundation, the think tank, the think tank that led Project 2025. They open up the Project 2025 before anything else, talking about family issues. The first chapter promises to restore the family as the centerpiece of American life, and the Heritage Foundation in particular has been researching this issue for over 2 years and is preparing to release a report in the coming weeks on how it believes the administration should counter declining birth rates. So I just leave that with all of you.
There are global
because I
declining
think,
birth rates.
yeah, but I think when we're talking about the United States, we need to think about who's proposing it and why.
They want
Yeah, so basically what she's doing, she's crying racism, right? She's basically trying to say, well, they're doing this because the white population is declining. Well, white people are majority in this country, right? I know these people don't like that, right? They don't like that, but the white population declining is not a good thing, right? I mean, when you talk about the population going down as a whole, overall, okay, and we're not meeting replacement rate, no, that's not a good thing, right? It doesn't matter the skin color or the race. If the population is not increasing and if the population is decreasing because you don't have enough white people having children, that's a problem, right? And I think that we should be incentivizing people to have more kids. And if it just so happens that white people mostly benefit from it, then it is what it is, right? As long as we're not incentivizing the wrong people to have kids. And what I mean by wrong people is not racial. It simply is based off of whether or not there's a man in the house, whether or not they're married, whether or not they are financially responsible. That is the issue. It's not that we don't have enough single mothers having kids, right? We got plenty of that. We don't have enough responsible people having children, okay? That is really what the issue is that we're facing in this country. And again, if incentivizing responsible people to have more children ends up mostly benefiting white people, then it is what it is, right? But I'm just saying what the goal should be, again, is to have more responsible parents. Good, strong, two-parent households is what we really should be incentivizing. You can disagree with the idea. I don't think that idea is necessarily great the way it is right now, but to say that it's racist is just, again, it's petty, right? I mean, come on now. Like, there are other criticisms of this besides, well, it's racist. But because Sunny Holston has a pea brain, right, she can't think of anything outside of, well, is this racist or not? I don't think she really understands that. She doesn't understand how much it's a problem, right? She's just annoyed by the idea of there being more white people in this country or there being more white babies. That's what she's really annoyed by.
What can I say about Sunny Holston except that I don't know whether to call her out for being the racist, self-righteous, anorexic sea-cow with a stick shoved so far up her you-know-what, she's got splinters coming out her ears, that she is, or to feel very sorry for that poor woman, because that much hatred projected on somebody else is coming from a deeply internalized place of self-loathing. So, and that is no way to live. So that poor woman has got to be absolutely miserable. That said, I agree with Greg here that it's not racism. There is, however, a healthy or unhealthy bit of anti-male sexism going on here. And a lot of it is coming from Greg himself. You see, I like Greg. I watch his channel almost daily, and I agree with a lot of what he says. But when it comes to the way he defines men, he really pisses me off, because it is no different than what the liberals do when defining women. Just like they want to use gender identity to define women, except for when it comes to reproduction, so that they can exclude men, they turn to biology and say that men have no say because they don't have a uterus. Greg and other conservatives like him have no problem defining a woman by what's between her legs, but when it comes to defining a man, they want to use gender roles to define a man rather than what's between our legs. It's not as prevalent in this video as in some of its others. I invite you to go and watch some of his videos on biological men and women's sports, for example. Where he basically he's describing, men as somebody who's a manly man, an alpha male, and conforms to all those traditional gender roles. And quite frankly, it is no different than what the liberals do. It's just the flip side of it, and it is just as sexist. As to what he said about timelines, everybody's got their own timelines, that's true. But some of us don't have the ability to meet those timelines without help. Some, like myself, simply don't want to get married but do have the drive to have children. And others are men maybe who are in their 40s or 50s who just never found the right one but want to get a family started anyway. And Greg, would you exclude those people from this mission to combat population decline in the United States? Because if so, yes, that is sexist against your own gender. And a man is a man if he was born with dangly bits, and that's all there is to it. And anyway, that's all I've got for y'all in this video, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and maybe leave me a little comment in the comment section, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.